Well, hello and good evening, or welcome to the Your Fix TV studios. I am Monique and I am super excited because tonight we are all about fun, fabulousness and fine champagne. Tonight I am joined in my studio virtually with the amazing Dame of Champagne. No, she is the Dame of Champagne. We are talking about Housewife of Auckland, the absolutely gorgeous Anne Batley Burton. Welcome to the stream tonight, Anne.
Hi, Monique. So happy to be here. Now, this is my first time doing this with you, so I'm sure it's going to be great fun.
I am super excited. We've already got people on the stream tonight ready to ask you questions. In fact, Anne, I know tonight we are talking about fabulous champagne jack art. We're talking about a little bit of the history. We're going to do some live champagne tastings. And also, my understanding is people can actually ask you about a little bit of the gossip behind Housewives of Auckland. Is that right?
It's funny, even after 5 years, people still want to ask me all those sorts of questions. But it's lovely because it was so much fun. I'm happy to answer anything.
Awesome, awesome. Well, before we start, I guess the one thing I want to ask you tonight is, firstly, tell me about, you've had a bit of a relationship with this gorgeous champagne jack art, and I actually have some in the studio with me tonight, so I'll be doing live tastings with you as well. So tell me about the beautiful relationship you have with the gorgeous champagne jack art.
Well, I've actually been importing jacquard for many years, and in fact, it's quite funny because, I promote it so much and I'm so enthusiastic and passionate about it. People possibly often think, well, it's only because she's importing it. But in fact, it's nothing to do with that, because how it all started years ago with my first marriage. Now, I haven't had 7 of them. They were the engagements. Only 2 weddings. But when I got married the first time, I had been buying the champagne jacquard, and another person called Murray Sandman Wines, was actually importing it. And he was selling it to places like the Regent Hotel and so on. And I absolutely love jacquard. So for my first wedding, which I had at the Pines in Epsom, the high-rise apartment building, I decided I wanted to have the jacquard champagne, and we had it all around the swimming pool and during the ceremony and all that sort of thing. And from that moment on, I really loved it. And then later on, I ended up going to France on a trip, and I'd already started importing another very small champagne house that I just run across by chance. And I started doing that, and then got more involved in the wine industry. And I went to Van Expo, which is a huge wine exhibition, and I came across the jacquard stand, so I thought, I'll pop in and see them. So I proceeded to tell them all about how I loved the jacquard, and I actually had it for my wedding, etc., etc. Such a disappointment it wasn't being imported into New Zealand, because poor Murray's business sort of went under. And he said, well, why don't you import it? You can be our agent. So that was about 24 years ago, God forbid. I was only about 10, of course. Married very young. So I started importing it and absolutely loved it, and I've been importing it ever since.
Now, there's a bit of a heart story around this. Obviously, you're also known as the queen of the pussies, let's be honest. You love every cat in New Zealand. You rescue so many cats and you look after them out at Goose Creek. And my understanding is you've been working so hard for so many years, and that money from the sales of your champagne actually goes directly to saving the pussies. Tell me about that.
Well, it certainly does, because when I started out saving the pussies, when my mother died, I decided to buy this property, it's called Goose Creek. And that's where I thought, okay, this is a great opportunity, having 12 acres out in the country, where I could build a small little sanctuary for elderly stray pussies. Pensioner pussies, as I called them, hence it being called the Pussy Palace for pensioners. And that wasn't for pensioner people, though, of course, it was for the pussies. So I started out just taking out some of the elderly cats that I've been looking after with a group of volunteers at Parnell. And when they sort of got a bit old and rickety, I started taking them out there. Well, once I did the Housewife show, everybody knew about what I was doing. So one pussy has followed another, and the enclosure, which was supposed to be only for a maximum of 25 stray pussies, has now got 240, and they are mounting. Luckily, we've adopted out last year about 120 of them, and of course we do have some that sadly pass away through age and so on. It's a wonderful, gorgeous sanctuary where all these poor abandoned stray cats come and live basically the rest of their life. If they're not able to be rehomed, we keep them there for life. We treat them as if they were our own personal cats, which is maybe rather extravagant, but once you've got your heart involved, you just can't let them down. And quite frankly, I'll probably work until I drop. I'll be selling champagne and selling wine barrels till I'm about 90 years old to help save the pussies. So every bottle of champagne that anybody buys, you could be assured that not just a portion, but the whole damn lot ends up going to look after these cats.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I've known you now for a few years. We met through different events. And I think what I've learnt from getting to know you as well is you are one of the hardest working women in the business. And you actually started work at a really young age working with your dad. Tell me about that.
Yes, but actually he put us children to work at about 7 years old in the factory. It's true. He used to worry that the Labour Department were going to come by. Whenever they knew the Labour Department was coming through, we kids had to hide amongst the big stacks of cardboard because the business was printing and packaging and credit card manufacturing. But we were the first people doing credit card manufacturing. But, seriously, we did have to go there after school. And of course, in the school holidays, and my brother and myself would be working in the bind room, we'd be doing stripping, that's like stripping cardboard around the outside of cartons and so on. So we'd be doing things like that on the stapling machine, the gluing machine, and plating. So all through my life, since I was very, very young, I used to work in the factory. And then, of course, I went to university at 16 and did a Bachelor of Commerce, which I finished at 20, and then went straight into the family business and worked alongside my father until, the day we went public and sold out. So, yeah, I've been very involved in all of that.
And I think that's something that very few people actually know about you, is you are incredibly hardworking. You're an advocate for saving the strays, and you're also an entrepreneur with your champagne business as well. You are just about superwoman, I've decided. How do you manage to do all of that work and always seem to have a laugh and a smile? And when people meet you in real life, they've got to know you through television, but they meet you in real life and what they see is this fun-loving, affable, gorgeous woman. How do you manage to find so much joy considering you are so hardworking?
Isn't it obvious? It's the champagne. What sort of a question was that, Monique? Wasn't that obvious?
Actually, after I said it, I thought to myself,
I have to say, though, as Napoleon once said, well, you do. And as Napoleon once said, drinking champagne, in victory we deserve it, and in defeat we need it. So whether you're up or down, whether you're sad or whether you're happy, whenever one of the poor cats die, or even my poor parents, the first thing I went to, because I was devastated, was to get the champagne. And it always made you feel a little bit better. So at both of my parents' funerals, we went through so much champagne because I wanted to sort of make it a celebration of their lives, not a depressing, terrible thing. I wanted to say, hey, they were the most amazing parents ever. And I want to celebrate their lives and make it a happy time rather than just everybody, depressed and unhappy and so on. So champagne is so important. And as I think I said, I don't know if I can even remember it, that one of when we did the Bravo launch with Housewives, and they asked me, what do I think about champagne? And I God, I can't really remember, but I said something like, well, champagne, in victory we deserve, defeat we need, etc. And if you're going to have a good party, you've got to have champagne. Every good party is capped off with champagne, and I mean it makes such difference because if you have a glass of red wine, you have a beer or a gin or a whiskey, it's a bit of a downer, but champagne always boosts everybody up and they just feel fantastic from that moment on.
Oh, I totally agree. Now, before we jump into some of the champagne etiquette that you're going to teach us tonight, one of the things I do want to do, and I'm going to just tell my producer right now, Pete, who is behind the scenes producing tonight's show, I know there's a few people who are watching tonight who would love to know where they can buy Champagne Jacquard. So if you haven't bought yours for the tasting tonight, you can actually order that online. We've got a screen graphic to show you. It's the Champagne Lady website. So there you go. Head to champagnelady.co.nz, and the two champagnes that we're going to talk about tonight, you can order straight away. To be honest, I don't mind sharing with everybody because I feel like everybody watching tonight is a friend. I buy it by the box full. It is fabulous. And the great thing about buying direct from the Champagne Lady is you will get it at distributor prices. But we're going to dive into that conversation very shortly. So first of all, and it is time to dive into our champagne tasting. And we've got the first one right here. This is the gorgeous Mosaic from Champagne Jacquard. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to have a look at my notes here. We're going to talk about some champagne etiquette. So already in the last few months of working alongside you, developing the concept for tonight, beautiful. You've taught me a lot about champagne etiquette. So let's talk about looking after your bottle, keeping it cool, because I know that's really important. And also opening, pouring, serving, glassware. Let's dive into that. This is your education moment, Anne. I'm ready to learn.
Good. Well, you ought to know it by now, actually, Monique, but I know you're just giving me the chance to show off, so I'll grab that opportunity. Thank you very much. So, first of all, the younger a champagne, the more chilled you would like it to be. So this champagne, being a Brut non-vintage, that means you want to have it nice and cold. So about 6 degrees is absolutely perfect. If it was a vintage champagne, an older champagne, maybe about 10 degrees, so people could appreciate the more complex development of the champagne as its age. But we are starting off with a fresh, elegant, effervescent champagne that is absolutely stunning. I love it so much. It's my absolute favourite champagne in the world. So here we are. We've got the new label now. I have to know which way that's the way. So it's absolutely outstanding. Now I'm going to open it. Hopefully it's not too slippery. I've kept it nice and cold. First of all, on the side, we have this little black piece which indicates where the foil can be torn off. Do not tear the foil off right down the neck, which I have had to correct some people in restaurants over. Been horrified to see they've torn this whole beautiful neck label off, and it just is a disaster. So that's sort of been like shock horror process. I could not believe that. It was just terrible. Then we have the muselet here. So keeping your thumb firmly on top of the cork, because sometimes it will just shoot off like a rocket.
All right.
You want to keep your thumb on it, so no accidents can happen. You wouldn't appreciate the number of eyes that have been damaged or practically removed thanks to people being too casual with that. So now we have my thumb on it. And another thing that's very important is that we want to twist the bottle, not the cork. Now, whilst that might not be so important with a young champagne, if you've got an old champagne that's got a very, very tight cork, sometimes it can even get to the point of snapping it. So you want to twist it. So you see my hand is going to, oops, here we go, and it's going to take off. I better watch it. I'm holding it down because I actually drank a bottle before we started. And I said, oh my God, I don't have one cold. So I've been chilling this down in a hurry. And I'm holding this down tight because it wants to go bang and I don't want it to do that. So it was supposed to sound like the sigh of a satisfied woman, but like a whisper, but unfortunately it did go off louder than I had intended. Anyway, I did my best under the circumstances. Now, we're going to put our thumb in the base of the bottle. We're going to hold the flute by the stem, and then we're going to pour. And if I was a sommelier and somebody working in the hospitality industry, I would make sure that the label was facing the client so they could see what they were drinking.
I'm going to turn the bottle.
We don't want to fill, so put it on an angle so we don't have too much froth, because if you just pour it straight up, it can end up with a whole lot of froth on the top and you lose a lot of the effervescence. Oh. Now, we don't want it right to the top. We want it about there, and it's absolutely perfect. So I'll now put that back into the ice bucket, which you probably can't see, but also so we can actually see it. Now I've got a little stopper here, and some lucky people, when they order, are going to end up with a stopper. And I'm going to put the stopper on the top, and that will, just in case it slips down the ice bucket, it's going to keep it safe, and it's also going to stop the effervescence from disappearing. Now, one really important thing about this is that the glasses must be perfectly polished, because if you've ever had champagne at a restaurant and it's flat, there could be two reasons. One reason could be that the bottle, if you're buying it by the glass, it could be that it has actually been sitting around for more than a day and the effervescence is lost. But if it is a fresh bottle, you can be absolutely sure, just about 100%, unless it's really faulty. If it tastes okay and it smells okay, yet it's still flat, the reason is because your glasses have not been polished properly. This is so important, and I tell you what, I go to so many restaurants, you wouldn't believe it. I have to send those glasses back and say, polish them again, it's not good enough. Some restaurants actually see me coming and they run and fear and say, we're getting the glasses, we're polishing them, we're just doing it. One poor restaurant, I won't say which one it was, I went through 3 bottles of champagne and I sent them all back because I asked the sommelier, I said, would you mind polishing the glass, because I think maybe there's detergent residue. He insisted that was not the case, and they have a special machine and they polish their glasses. Definitely not. So I said, oh, okay then, well, I'll send the champagne back. 3 bottles later, I said once again, are you sure? There isn't a problem with it. No, absolutely not. So I said, well, I think we better change champagne houses. So we went to another one. It was the same thing. Well, I'd had enough at this point, 4 bottles down. So I went off to the ladies' room. I took my glass. I put it under boiling hot water. I polished it with the hand, the little paper hand towels, which actually can be quite good because they're more abrasive and take any residue off. Came back, filled up my glass, poured it, and I showed it to him. And I said, see what I mean? He wasn't very happy. But he did learn something, hopefully.
What a story, Anne. And
I think it's very, very important. And the other thing is, notice how I'm holding it by the stem. It's terribly important to hold it by the stem, because who wants to be seen clutching your champagne like a beer glass? And apart from the fact it doesn't look very elegant, the other point is that it warms up the champagne. Now imagine going like this. I mean, that isn't a good look, is it? It's really not a good look. Either is that a good look. You must hold it like this. And as I say, quite apart from that, it's just such a beautiful glass. You want to show it off. You don't want the champagne to warm up, and it looks so much more elegant.
I totally agree. Now, how would somebody say in France? How would we say, instead of saying cheers or bottoms up? What would be the normal way to celebrate drinking together?
We would say santé et bonheur, health and happiness.
I love that, santé.
I'm just getting a knock on the window because Non-Solo Pizza have actually just gone. Could I just hold it 1 second? Just hold the spot. He's at the door and won't go.
Okay. I know, if you have just joined us. We are live with Housewife of Auckland, the amazing Anne Batley Burton. It is live champagne tasting, and as you can see, the pizza man's just arrived at her door from Non-Solo Pizza. So she's gone to answer the door because Cuddly Bear must be busy at home. Now, if you have questions tonight, you are welcome to send them through. We're going to dive a little bit into the Housewives of Auckland as well. If you've got any questions about that, I want to say a big shout out to Jane Collier, also to Freddie Coon, who said, I buy some of the champagne regularly. It is amazing. Freddie, I totally agree. And if you, hi Ruthie, lovely to see you on the stream. Thank you for your kind words. If you do want to try the champagne, it is actually one of my it is probably my absolute favorite, I have to say. I am quite partial to it. I may drink it regularly. We're going to bring up the screen graphics of where you can find that. You can buy the champagne actually direct from the champagne lady herself. So you can head to her website, champagnelady.co.nz. That's what her website looks like. There is a selection of different champagnes on there, and there are different wines on there that you can try as well. The great thing about buying direct from her is you are getting it at the importer prices. So it is a better deal than you will buy in store or even in a restaurant once the the restaurants, of course, can open up here in Auckland again. But do check it out. It is a beautiful product. It is a premium product that you can get at an amazing price. And I think if you're going to drink champagne, why not drink the best? All right, I think Anne is almost back in her place.
I am back, and I was going to butt in there, actually, Monique. You were doing a great job, by the way. Sorry, it was this non-solo arrived with a whole lot of food, and my husband hadn't paid for it, so it's a bit of a drama. But anyway, what I was about to say was one of the really special things about Champagne Jacquard is that, first of all, their Brut non-vintage champagne, which we're drinking tonight, is apparently the only large champagne house that has 100% only first pressing. So with champagne, you have the first pressing, the second pressing, and the third pressing. So obviously the quality goes down and the finesse and elegance diminishes as you go down the pressings. And most of the other big champagne houses have got either second or third pressing or a blend of those with the first pressing and so on. But Jacquard, because it's actually owned by the growers, has it's got the very good luck to be able to choose from 150 different crus, and it's mainly Grand and Premier Cru, and there's 3 levels: Grand Cru, Premier Cru, and then the Village sort of level, the more basic level.
Can I just stop you for 1 second?
Yes.
Pete, can you just throw to a 2-shot? I'm talking to our producer tonight. It seems that I'm the only one on the screen, and I want to share the fabulousness of the story. Here we go. Here you are, both of us. And then I've got a couple of questions for you, actually, from the feed tonight. So keep telling me that story. So the first...
I haven't finished, by the way. Sorry, I haven't finished. I haven't finished because we also need to say, apart from being only the first pressing, which gives the finesse and the elegance, we've also the fact that it's all Grand Cru, a little bit of Premier Cru, so the best quality grapes. And then, very importantly, in Champagne, you only need to have 15 months of aging before disgorgement. But this Jacquard Brut non-vintage is 3 to 4 years of aging before disgorgement, which of course gives the champagne the opportunity to have more complexity, roundness, elegance, finesse, and so on. So it's absolutely fantastic. It's an amazing quality, and quite frankly, I think it is absolutely the best.
I have to agree there because I love it too. I'm a frequent flyer, as you know. I buy it regularly from you. Now, we do have a couple of people who have popped in to say hello. So Freddie Kuhn has said, I buy this champagne regularly. It is amazing. Yvonne Lorcan has popped in to say hello as well. Hi, Anne. Fizzy to see you.
Oh, great. Hi, Yvonne.
And also...
That's lovely.
Also,
and hi to Freddie, because Freddie actually came to one of my Champagne Lady Etiquette days, which he bought it at a charity night, and I think he and his friends absolutely loved it. Isn't that right, Freddie?
I would agree there too. And Michelle Reed is on the stream tonight, and she says, hello, Anne, you look lovely, nicely done. And
hi, Michelle. We still have to catch up.
Yes, absolutely you do. And then also Hunter Sutter has just said, always a beautiful champagne, one of my favourites.
Oh, yes. Hunter's a great supporter, and also of the pussies too. He's great supporters of all the Pussy Galore parties, so thanks, Hunter.
It's lovely to have everybody here on the stream tonight. And remember too, if you've got questions either about the champagne etiquette, or Housewives of Auckland, or the pussies, feel free to send your questions in through the feed and I'll pass those on to Anne. So we've already covered a little bit of champagne etiquette, so how to open your bottle. I think what I took away from that little bit of education was when the cork pops. You mentioned, for people who've just joined the live stream, it should be like the sound of a satisfied woman. I loved that. I thought that was absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, it's fantastic. Now, I must tell you something really funny that happened.
Yes.
Sorry, can I butt in there?
You can.
Oh, good. I was just going to say something really funny because I was on Magic with Ryan Bridge on the drive show, whatever it was he used to do before he was on the AM show. And so Ryan used to get me on quite regularly. But the first time I went on, I thought, oh, well, I'll take a bottle of champagne. And I didn't want to assume that he would be able to open it actually on the show. So I just took him a normal bottle that was warm. And he said, oh, no, we can open it. We can open it. I said, oh, I'm not too sure about that one because it's warm and, it could sort of fizz up too much. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Let's do it. Well, no matter how hard I tried to hold this jolly cork down, it just went off like a rocket and whoop, and it went everywhere. It went all over the equipment, went all over me. So we had a champagne shower together. So that was actually quite amusing. But the most important thing, it must be cold.
Absolutely.
And keep the thumb on the top.
Well, I think one of the things that I've learned since knowing you as well is champagne brings people together because it's so much fun, it's so bubbly, and there's something so special about it. And of course, Champagne Jacquard is extra special, and it's actually won a lot of awards. So the Mosaic one that we're talking about tonight, which is our first tasting. First of all, let's talk through a few tasting notes. When people are tasting this, what should they be experiencing? What sort of grapes are involved with the making of the Mosaic?
Well, we have obviously there's the three champagne grape varieties, which probably most of you know about, but anyway, I'll just let you know in case you don't. There's the Chardonnay, there's the Pinot Noir, and there's the Pinot Meunier. That's the only three grape varieties that are allowed in Champagne. You can't use any others in making champagne. So as far as Jacquard is concerned, and probably why I love it so much, is that the Chardonnay grape is dominant in almost all their cuvées. And the Chardonnay grape is the one that gives you the elegance, the finesse, the freshness, those tiny, tiny bubbles, which give this little rim of pearls around the top of the glass. It's just gorgeous. It's so refined, so elegant, so fresh. It's got that minerally character, and it's got the citrusy characters coming through. If, for example, if you were to just compare two different styles of champagnes, you would say, okay, Jacquard is a Chardonnay-driven champagne. Something like Ruinart, for example. Ruinart is also more Chardonnay-driven. It's another champagne that I like very much. Then we have, on the other hand, say, Bollinger, which is more Pinot Noir-driven. It's a more Cousteau, gutsy, Venus sort of champagne. And a lot of men actually like that. They love that style of champagne. It's more yeasty, it's bigger. And you can see the colour is also different. Whereas with the Jacquard cuvées, they always have a more citrusy, greeny, lemony tinge as compared to a darker colour, which the more Pinot Noir-driven champagnes, and you will see that in the Montadon, it's more Pinot Noir-driven. So it all depends on our personal tastes, of course, but for me, being a very refined, elegant young lady, of course, I actually love that Chardonnay-driven style, and that's really what I love about it. Fresh, elegant, refined, with plenty of effervescence. Bit of wang dang doodle, as they say.
So it's just like you, elegant, refined, with a lot of effervescence.
I say that about my car as well, actually. That's funny, isn't it?
So a couple of questions that have come through. Karen Webster has just said, where's Cuddly Bear tonight? A good question. And for people who don't know who Cuddly Bear is,
well, Cuddly Bear is... It is. Well, the Cuddly is actually, in fact, he disrupted the whole thing marching through. What happened was he'd been out boating, catching some fish today with a few of his golfing friends. So they went out on the boat, and anyway, he came back and he wasn't really dressed correctly. So I said he could stay out the back and order the food from Non Solo Pizza. Unfortunately, well, then, of course, it was too late to order the food, so then they very kindly made an exception and set the food up anyway. But I'm in here. He couldn't hear it because he's out on the terrace. So that's why we had the banging on the window. And I had to sort of dash out and intercept things. And he finally came out and was asking me, who's paying for this? I'm thinking, could you just sort it out? Don't talk to me about it right now in the middle of a live stream champagne tasting. So the Cuddly's out the back.
I love it. Great question.
And I don't think he's even feeding the pussies either. I'll have to do that when I get off this.
Oh my goodness. Vicky Loach has said that your champagne is the only champagne I ever drink, as you know. And that's love from Rock Chick, LD. which I think is fabulous.
Oh, thanks,
we,
Rock Chick.
we were talking about Rock Chick just last night, weren't we, Anne? How cool is that? And Jane
I know we
Collier.
were, because Rock Chick did this most amazing song. We've got the most amazing Champagne Lady Christmas song, which she wrote a few years ago. And we're going to be doing another one, but it's not going to be, I hope I'm not saying anything, Rock Chick, that I shouldn't be, but we're going to be doing another song. And it's not going to be all about Christmas. It's going to be more sort of easily used, for any situation to promote the pussies. So I'm looking forward to that. She's working on it right now. And I hope you've got a glass of champagne in your hand, Rock Chick.
Also, Jane Collier wants to know, how does your champagne compare to Veuve Clicquot? I think that's a really good question.
Okay, it is a very good question. Now, I know you probably think I'm biased, but I'm actually not, because I do have other champagnes I really love. And I'll tell you the ones I really love. I love Runa, particularly the Blanc de Blanc. If I can't get my Jacquard, and my Jacquard Blanc de Blanc, I just adore. It's the best of the best. It's amazing, but I love this one. Obviously, the Blanc de Blanc vintage is more expensive, but that's probably my super, super, super favorite. But I love the Ruinart, and I love the Ruinart Blanc de Blanc in particular. I also love Taittinger, because that again is more Chardonnay driven. So there are two other champagnes that I have no hesitation saying I love them. Gorgeous. For me, I don't want to run another champagne house down, but Veuve Clicquot doesn't have quite the structure and the acidity that I love, that I get from Jacquard. I like the acidity. I like the minerality. I don't like a champagne that is too sweet. And I personally find the Veuve Clicquot a little bit sweet for me. Doesn't have quite the refinement that the Jacquard has. It's a good champagne and everybody loves it, and they've done an amazing job with their marketing. But forget my personal, fact that I'm importing it. I really prefer the Jacquard.
The other thing that I really want to say, because I've always been a fan of Veuve until I learnt about Jacquard. And I have to say, I think, now I don't have the credentials like you do as being a Dame of Champagne, but from a palate experience, it seems to me that the Mosaic in particular, which is what I drink regularly, it seems finer on the palate. It seems, and even comparing it to Moet as an example, yes, as well, it is you're right in my experience, talking about the refinement of the product. Is that to do with the way it's processed, or is it to do with the press, or how do they do it? It just seems more delicate to me on the palate. That's the only way I can describe it.
It is. It's more elegant and refined. That's what I was explaining earlier. If you were listening, Monique, got to watch this one. God Almighty, how many times have I told her? No, the actual reason is because it's the first pressing. And the first pressing is always the most refined. You're going to get the most refinement from the first pressing. And apart from that, you're also going to get the most refinement of the fact that it's predominantly Grand Cru and Premier Cru, which is, because, what happens with the Grand Cru and the Premier Cru, in case you understand how that works, they are situated in different areas of the terrain and the terroir. And the whole terroir is different. So if you've got the top quality grapes, the Grand Cru, they are always situated on slopes, the upper level. So you've got the good drainage and the sunshine, all that sort of thing. When you come down and you're on the flat, which is the sort of the large, the more lower level champagne grapes, they haven't got those same qualities. They haven't got the same opportunity to get the sunlight and the drainage and all those sorts of things. And so they change the quality of the grapes. So when the champagne houses, if they don't have their own vineyards, which luckily Champagne Jacquard does, they have their own vineyards with the fact that it's owned by the vignerons themselves, that a lot of champagne houses, they have to buy a lot of their grapes from the growers. So they're all fighting for what they can get. So when you're buying grapes from the Grand Cru area, they are more expensive per kilo. So I don't know what the levels are right now, but say it was 11 or 12 euros per kilogram or whatever. in the Grand Cru, and then it went down to, say, it went down to 10, and then it went down to 8 or something. Obviously, you're going to pay more for those particular grapes in those different levels. And that, of course, makes a difference between how much you're paying for the champagne at the end of the day. And then when you also have a situation where you're spending 15 months, which is the minimum amount of time, putting your champagne in the bottles and doing the riddling and the twisting and all that sort of stuff before you disgorge it. If it's only 15 months, that's quite different as far as the cost and so on, the economics are concerned, if you've had it for 3 to 4 years, which is what Jacquard does. So the champagne has the time to build its structure and all the complexity and all those things, the smoothness, the refinements, the length on the palate. You know, if you drink wine or champagne or anything and it's just short, it stops, it goes boom, it's all over. You want to feel it in your mouth, you want to feel it under the tongue. You know, for me, when I have a glass of champagne, I'm going to go, or a glass of wine, go like this, you watch me. I put my tongue under the lip of the glass and I let the champagne rush under my tongue, and you feel that sizzle, that rush, and it washes all. You don't just knock it back as if you're drinking a bottle of beer or something. You're going to go, so watch me now. And I suck that under my tongue, and then you feel it rush through your system like a little waterfall, and then it goes down your throat. That's what you want. You don't want something to just stop short, and you don't want a champagne that also, the moment it warms up, that it literally just is just sugary water. You don't want that. It's got to have structure, acidity, character, complexity. You've got to have all of that to hold it together. It's really important.
That makes a completely different tasting experience just with that tip alone. Like, I just tried that and the whole experience was completely different. We've just had a couple of, so thank you, Anne. We've just had a couple of messages come through. Firstly, Michelle Reed, who's watching tonight, said, thank you so much. You guys are doing really well. I'm really enjoying this. So thank you, Anne. This is fantastic. Also, Jane Collier said, thank you. I like a Blanc de Blanc, so a drier bubbles will definitely try. Head to champagnelady.co.nz. And then lovely Lauren Burton, perhaps somebody you know, I don't know, said, which restaurants?
Oh, yes, actually. Yes, that's James's wife.
Lovely. Lauren just said, which restaurants in Auckland have Champagne Jacquard on their menu? A very good question. Once the restaurants open again, where can we find Champagne Jacquard here in Auckland?
Yes. Well, that's a good question, Lauren. We don't sell a lot outside of Auckland, and that's probably because of laziness on my part, I might add. But I have tended to sell to certain select restaurants who I know are going to pay their bills, to be honest, because so many of the poor things are going under, and I've been a bit cautious. So at the moment, we sell through the Good Group, which of course is places like Harbourside and Botswana, Sardine, White and Wong, places like that. We used to have it at Euro, sadly, but they've closed their doors. Non-solo pizza has always been a favourite of mine, and of course they're local. I'm sort of the Parnell girl, my little friend Esmeralda, she's got this gorgeous Indonesian restaurant down in Bandung, and she sells it by the glass, and that's great, and she's always sold quite a lot of it, even in spite of all the COVID situations. We used to have it at Antoine's, and poor old Tony, after Darling Bees passed away, he closed the doors, but that was wonderful to have it there. Sales restaurant, been there for years, and again, very sadly, Bart has suddenly passed away, aged only 57, and hey, just want to say cheers to Bart, because he's been a great supporter and a lovely, lovely man. It hasn't been good. So we do have places like that, and of course the Northern Club, of which I'm a member, has been selling it like hotcakes. It took a while to get in there, and it's just been fantastic over the last couple of years. The sales have been really booming because I think other members understanding how good it is. And the good thing is that then once members have tried it, a functional or just tasting at the club, then they've been able to buy from me direct. And just to give you an idea, you can basically buy the champagne from me at about a third of the price. At the very least, it will be half the price of where you would buy it. If you're buying it at a restaurant, you will be able to buy it from me at half or a third in some cases of the price. And I've always, my whole idea of my business has been champagne lady, direct champagne and so on. But there's only so much that one girl can do, as you can imagine. I can only drink so much champagne. I can only promote so much. And, but, you know, the fantastic thing is it does give everybody an opportunity to buy top quality champagne at importers prices. And one place that has just opened, and it's, what's the jolly name of it? It's, I should know, good, sorry about that. But it's Fresh Choice or something. It's just open in Green Lane Road. It's the most amazing, top quality. It's not a supermarket, it's like a Faro sort of place. And they have just started buying the Jacquard and they're going to be selling it. So for people who just want to go and pop in, buy all their groceries and fabulous food and wine or whatever, and they just pick up a bottle of Jacquard, they can go and buy it there. And that's in Green Lane Road West. And I'm sure you'll know where it is if you live in the area. There's another one out at Half Moon Bay. They haven't got it in there yet. So it's the only retail place that you can actually buy Jacquard. Otherwise, really, the best place to buy it is direct from me.
Excellent, excellent. So while we put those screen graphics up before we jump into the tasting of the next champagne, and pop your lights on, lovely. I think it's getting dark because the light's gone down. Can you pop your diamond lights on?
I will, and I'll get myself another glass as well. I'll get another glass. Like I said, hold it tight. Hold on a second.
Perfect. Now, if you've just joined us, welcome to the live stream with Housewife of Auckland, Anne Batley Burton. We're talking about champagne tonight, and this is her website, champagnelady.co.nz. One of the things I love about this is her business. She imports champagne direct. She's done all the tastings. She's been over to France. She's done the tastings herself to bring the best products into New Zealand, and you can buy direct from her. And what I love is the heart and soul behind it. Not only is it about bringing the best products into New Zealand, every bottle sold goes to support the pussies, and this is what I love. If you're a fan of Housewives of Auckland, if you watch the show, you'll know that Anne is a huge lover of saving the strays. So she used to look after the Parnell pussies for a long time. She still actively goes out and feeds the strays in her local area, and now she has a cat sanctuary in Goose Creek called Goose Creek, where she has more than 200 elderly cats that she looks after. So the proceeds from every bottle sold actually goes to save the life of an elderly or abandoned pussy, which is one of the reasons why I really love this product, aside from the fact that I love champagne. There's a heart and soul behind this too. So is Anne back on the stream as well? Yes, I think she is. Welcome
I'm back. I've just been polishing a glass. I had so many glasses piled up. I've got no one to wash them for me at the moment. And so I had to go and wash one quickly.
So
but talking about pussies, would you believe it yesterday? Yes.
No, you talk.
Go on. What I was going to say was unfortunately, it's not only elderly stray pussies, because now, of course, I get all these people calling me about the kittens and everything. And just yesterday, I had this lady call me from a demolition yard, and they had found 5 little black kitties in one of these big diggers. And so she said, oh, my God, what are we going to do? You know, we can't move the whole thing, and we're worried that the kittens are going to get flattened, and the mother wasn't anywhere in sight. So I said, right. And funnily enough, I've actually got a new TV show happening right now, a pilot being done for it, which I won't go into because I don't want to tell any secrets. But anyway, I had my film crew with me. And so we went to this demolition yard. And sure enough, I had my high heels on. I had no idea where I was going to. And she said, you can't possibly wear those. You've got to put these boots on. So I had to put these big boots on, staggered up there, had to be helped up onto the top of this part of clay. She opened the cabin of this big digger thing, and there these 5 little black kitties were going like with their little blue eyes that were going, you know, so cute. Anyway, the wonderful part of the story is that you wouldn't believe it. We filmed all of that, put a trap out with some lovely smelly tuna. And the next morning, 6:15 this morning, I got a call from the lady, and the mum was there. She scooped up the kittens from the cabin of this big digger, and anyway, she's transported them to the Pussy Palace, and now one of my wonderful, I've got a fabulous foster and trapper actually who rents our cottage up there, and she now has them all in her care. And so obviously we're going to look after all of them and get them de-sexed, find homes and the whole thing. And the mum obviously knows that we're looking after her. So it's absolutely amazing. So whilst it was originally set up for the elderly stray pussies, we've been inundated with all sorts of them, of course.
What a story, Anne. Now
Right,
I also
so
have to say,
say,
before we jump into tasting champagne number 2, I want to say a big shout out to Brendan Harris, who's watching from Wellington. And he said, thank you so much for your advice. Beautiful champagne can we purchase online? So obviously head to champagnelady.co.nz. Brendan actually has just said such a great cause being able to support the pussies as well. Catherine Cook, who is watching tonight. Catherine Cook, who is watching tonight, just said, that glass is almost as big as you, champagne lady.
Well, it's lucky I've got my liver detox because I don't know how I would cope otherwise. In fact, I'm just going to say something about that, a shout out to my friend, the Raw Pharmacist, because she got me onto the liver detox. She owns the Neb Pharmacy down the road from us in Parnell. And I've always been into liver detoxing for many, many years. But the easiest one to take is this liver detox we buy from her.
It's dinner time.
And my husband keeps jumping in and saying it's dinner time. For goodness sake, can you believe he's got no idea about live streaming? And anyway, but I always squirt the liver detox, which has lots of silymarin, which is milk thistle extract. And I squirt that down my throat about 5 or 6 times a day. And it's absolutely amazing, I can tell you. And it means that I can drink champagne all the time and I have no problems at all. So
I love it. I love
for a health tip.
A few more.
So what are we doing now, Monique?
Okay, so firstly, a few more comments coming through that I'll share with you. So Michelle said, yes, very well done, Anne Batley Burton. I saw Jack Art in Fresh Choice Green Lane today. Congratulations. So that's very cool.
Oh, fantastic. That's wonderful.
Yep, lovely Deb Burnand is on the stream tonight and watching. Hi, Deb, lovely to see you.
Oh, yes. Well, she's a great supporter too, Red Carpet TV.
That's right. So she said, cheers, Anne, and thanks, Mon. So great to have you on the stream tonight. And the other thing that that's come through, Diane O'Connor said, Anne, you do an amazing job. Love your work.
Oh, thanks, Diane. Well, she does too, actually. She's another one who's the pussy lover, and she's always out there battling, doing so much for the cats. Well, she and I fight the councils together, actually, to save the pussies. Here's to you, Di.
I would celebrate too, but my glass is empty, so it must be the time to open the second champagne and do the tasting. So tell me,
It must be, absolutely, Monique.
before we jump in, the other thing I really wanted to
Right.
say about the Mosaic, so just to finish off, is the Mosaic champagne is a multi-award winning champagne. We're going to show you on screen just how incredible this is. Pete, our producer tonight, is going to bring up the awards on the screen. Check this out. There's 2 pages of awards. We'll show you very quickly because we don't want to stop you from trying the second champagne. Pete, can you bring those up for us? He's just going to find it right now. Check this out. Look at all these
Yes,
awards.
it's important. And I'll tell you one other thing. I'll tell you one other thing too. 2016, which is quite a while ago, of course, but they won actually the coup de cœur for Guy Hachette. And what that actually means, the coup de cœur, it's with everybody's heart, it's the absolute top of the tops for all the, every month they sort of choose the best champagne that they've tasted. And in this particular instance, the coup de cœur is the one that for the whole year won the most, accolades and things like that. And they did that with the Jacquard. And as I say, it's 5 years ago now, but basically a non-vintage champagne, of course, the whole idea is you're going to have continuity and same excellence of quality and so on. So it's, it's pretty fantastic.
Well, I'm I can only tell from the consumer side of how much I love it. It's amazing, and to know that we are drinking an incredible product at such an incredible price is a real credit to you to be able to bring it into New Zealand and to be able to give it to people like me who are champagne lovers at, I would say, better than retail prices. And is that due to being VIPs with you? So anybody who signs up to your website is essentially a VIP with you, right?
Well, they are. This is the thing. I mean, obviously, if something is being sold out in a retail margin, like we now have with the fresh choice, but they're obviously going to put a margin on, of course, but that's going to make it more easily accessible for people just going to whiz by and grab a bottle, for dinner that night. But for people who do want to buy more and buy a 6-bottle minimum, obviously they get a better price, and they make the effort to come to me and they get it couried and all that sort of thing, going to get a better price. But if you were buying Jacquard out in a restaurant situation, it's sold at anything between $110 and $165 a bottle. So, it's sort of around $65 a bottle from me. You're getting a very, very good deal for a fantastic quality champagne.
That's amazing. I can't get over that. So there you go. For anybody watching, or if you've just joined the live stream, you can go direct. You can buy it from a local retailer, but you can also go direct. Oh, and you've got something else?
Don't forget
the
that.
Magnum.
I've got that label turned around the right way. The big boys. Don't forget the big boys. We've got the big boy Magnum. The big boy Magnum. Now, this is an unbelievable value, and this will actually never be seen again. One very important thing to remember about a Magnum or any larger size bottle is that the bigger the bottle, the longer it takes to age. So if you had I never bring in half bottles, because half bottles are never indicative of what a 750ml bottle tastes like. So, and a Magnum, which is 2 bottles, of course, 2 750ml bottles, it takes twice as long to age. So if you get, for example, a non-vintage 750ml bottle and you buy it from anybody other than me or somebody who's importing direct, quite frankly, I'm going to say me, because when I import champagne, I don't bring in full containers. I'm a smaller champagne importer. I bring in LCL, so it means I bring in about 4,000 bottles at a time, because I know I'm going to sell those within about 6 or 7 months. I do not want to be in a position of a year and a half later still trying to sell the same champagne, because by the time it gets over here, there's all sorts of climatic situations and they're offloaded and stuck in the sun somewhere, and particularly now with all the COVID issues. And for me, I want to have a champagne. I always insist that it's recently disgorged before it gets on the boat, on the ship, and then it's sent to us, and then the moment it gets here. So the moment if you get any bottle of non-vintage champagne, regardless of where it's come from, the best time to drink it is right now. You don't know how long it's been sitting on that shelf in that shop. You don't know how long it's been sitting in that warehouse. You don't know how long it's been sitting around from port to port or whatever. So the best time to drink it is now. But the bigger the bottle, the longer you can keep it. So these Magnums, I can tell you, my Magnums only just arrived 3 weeks ago. So these bottles will last because I insist on recent disgorgement. But the fact is that they're absolutely good. But just do remember that when you're buying champagne, the best time to drink it, if it's a non-vintage, is now, because you don't know its history. Anyway, these are sold at an incredibly cheap, inexpensive, good value for money price, and it's purely because so often people go out and they go, oh, I think I'll just buy the one I know. I'll buy the this or the that or the other, the ones that are sort of commonly known champagnes. They don't know Jacquard, so they just go and grab something they know. So this is the idea. The idea of this is to inspire people to give Jacquard a go. Now, once they try it, there's no going back, I can tell you right now. So my Jacquard, this Magnum, you can buy it from me at 109 bottles plus your courier charge for 2 bottles. Now, that's an unbelievable price. You will not get anything like that anywhere for anywhere near the quality, believe me. And it's perfect for Christmas. And we only have probably about 150 bottles left. So if you want it, get onto it.
I've got a couple of questions
Right now.
for you around that. So first of all, Jane Collier's just said, Magnums are such an event bottle. Love bringing one out at a celebration. I have to agree. I just had a Magnum recently. Loved it. Brilliant. The second question that's come through is, what is disgorgement? I think that's a really good question.
Oh, okay, disgorgement. So when you've got the champagne bottle sitting in the caves, in the cellars, and you're doing the riddling, when they twist the bottle every day, they come and twist it a tiny little bit, and then now they have machines to do it, of course, but there are still certain areas where they do it by hand. You've got these expert riddlers who just go like that. They probably have RSI, the poor buggers. Anyway, they go like this just to twist it a fraction, and every day these yeast cells just sort of slide further and further and further and further down the neck, gets down to the neck, pulls this little plug, and it gets to that point, it's got the crown cap on the end of the bottle. Now, the crown cap is like a beer cap, with those GB beer bottles that they used to have. So, you would whip those off. Not that I ever used to drink beer, of course, God forbid. Can you imagine it? Anyway, so you take the crown cap. So what they would do, they would then plunge the yeast, the neck of the bottle, which is this disgorgement process, plunge the neck of the bottle into the ice, which freezes it immediately, and then they take the crown cap off and boom, out shoots this plug of yeast cells. So they shoot this out, and then at that point, they then fill the bottle up with a mixture of the champagne wine with a certain dosage, which is a level of sugar which determines whether the champagne is going to be an extra brut, which is really, really, really low in dosage, or a brut, which is dry, which is what we're drinking, or whether it's a demi-sec, which starts to get sweeter, maybe a sort of dessert sort of champagne. And for various countries, funnily enough, like America, they always tend to give a higher dosage because the Americans have a bit of a sweeter tooth than certain other countries. So they organise all of this and they add the dosage. But this is the disgorgement. And then, of course, once they put the dosage in, then they start putting the cork in and the muselé, the wire frame, the wire cage, and then the cap and all that sort of thing.
I have learnt so much.
So is that quite clear?
Yeah, this is awesome. Also, I've just noticed a comment come through from Hunter Sutter, who said, I've just ordered half a dozen bottles, perfect for Christmas. Can you wait that long, Hunter? That sounds
perfect.
Like
that's great.
I know I won't be. I just picked up half a dozen bottles.
That's good. The way the couriers are going, it's lucky he's ordered it now, to be honest. Poor Freddie's probably still waiting for his champagne. He's been waiting since the 2nd of November when it was picked up at the door. I hope it's arrived, poor guy.
I hope so too. Well, Anne, we're going to dive in. I know we've been an hour. Can you even believe that we've been an hour?
Oh God, and that's why the Cuddly keeps coming in. Cuddly keeps coming in and saying, we're eating. Well, go and eat, Cuddly. I'll eat later. I'm having so much fun with you, Monique, and everybody else.
That's right. And if you don't know who Cuddly Bear is, this is Richard. This is Anne's husband, who was also featured on as her husband on Housewives of Auckland as well. Freddie just said he is actually enjoying his champagne tonight as well. Well, I think let's dive into champagne number 2.
Good.
So, yay. This is the
Okay, we'll do that.
Montadon. So tell me about the Montadon.
Okay, well, I'm going to open it right now. I'm going to stand up because it's so easy when I'm sitting down. The funny thing about the Montadon is that, quite frankly, people see the M and they start thinking, oh, at a distance, people who aren't sort of, I'm just going to tip that back a bit. Can you still see?
We can.
And I'm going to bob down to make myself more petite than I am, actually. And anyway, the interesting thing is that, of course, with this big M on it, can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Big M. You do get people who are the uninitiated who sort of think, oh, it's mum or it's my wet. Well, anyway, it's not. But I suppose in some ways it sort of might add to the situation because, as I say, being less well-known, maybe it could, add to our favour sort of thing. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now, here we are, I have a new glass, and we're going to try this now. It's very important. The reason, funnily enough, years ago, I must tell you this, years ago I was asked to import Champagne Montadon, and I decided not to because I didn't want to sort of sully the waters, so to speak, with the Jacquard. And I also had another fantastic champagne house that I was importing in Comte Eau de Vendôme, and that was the most gorgeous champagne house. But sadly, he sold out because, well, that's another story. But anyway, he sold out. But wonderful man, and he was the one who was actually, he was very important as far as me becoming a Dame of Champagne with the CRBC and so on. So it was a wonderful experience. But anyway, the point was that we should talk about that another night because that was amazing. But anyway, the Montadon, I was asked by the person who owned Montadon at the time if I was interested in importing it. And I didn't want to upset Jacquard because they're my main champagne house. So I said no. But then, as it turned out, Jacquard bought Montadon. So then when I said to Jacquard, well, I'd like to have another champagne that is slightly less expensive and more affordable and maybe a slightly different style, just to appeal to people who were maybe not Chardonnay driven and they wanted something that was more Pinot Noir driven. And so they said, well, we have the Montadon. So I started importing Montadon. So here we have it now. Cheers.
Wow, cheers. What a story. I'm just going to try it now.
Yes. Totally different nose, as you would notice, Monique. Totally different.
So obviously I don't have the credentials that you have when it comes to tasting, but it seems fruitier to me. What am I experiencing?
It is. And it's darker in colour. The bubbles are not as fine, I might add, and that's because the Montadon is more Pinot Noir driven. So the Pinot grapes, not only Pinot Noir, but Pinot Meunier, Pinot Noir, the red grapes, so as you would all know, I imagine, is that the Chardonnay, of course, is a white grape, and Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier are both red grape varieties. So you end up with a darker colour because of the skin and so on of the grapes that are imparted into the champagne.
Wow.
And it also doesn't have quite as much finesse. However, they are more, as I said before, more custo, a bit more fleshy, more Venus. When I say Venus, I'm talking about the fact, like, you know, Venus as in the vines, and it's just got more red grape character in there. Whereas, as I say, the ones that are Chardonnay driven have got that sort of finesse, minerality, citrusy characters and so on. So if you put the two together, which, well, even now, I've only got a little bit left, but you can probably still see. Can you see even now the difference in the colour?
Yes.
What's left of the Jacquard
Yes.
is very citrusy, and then you've got the Montadon is much darker in colour. So can everyone see that? I hope so.
Absolutely, Anne.
Hopefully we're going to get
it's
some
amazing.
answers here. But anyway, you can see that, can't you?
Yes.
Montadon is not only 100% first pressing. It's a beautiful champagne. And I understand from a lot of people who have bought it from me, at first they've said, oh, no, we really love the Jacquard. And then they said, oh, actually, kind of like the Montadon when we're eating. So the people
Yes.
who really like to have champagne that they're going to enjoy throughout the meal have actually really enjoyed the Montadon because it's a bit more fleshy. It's a bit more, well, as I say, Venus. It's more like a wine, you know, rather than a champagne.
So this is my
it's got
first
lovely
time.
qualities to it.
It's my first time trying the Montadon, and it's really weird. You know how you think you would drink, you wouldn't necessarily think of food matching with champagne. This is a sort of thing because I'm not a firm believer in drink a red wine with a champagne. I don't really drink red wine at all. But this is red wine with a steak as an example, or beef or something like that. But this is a champagne that I would drink if I was going to have, say, a beautiful eye fillet. That's what it's that's a connection that seems really obvious like something lovely like that.
Yes,
It's a bit weightier. And I actually am
exactly.
pleasantly
You're absolutely
surprised.
right.
I really like it
I'm glad to
as a
hear that.
drink. Yeah, I will probably become a frequent flyer again. Again, I think it's a different style of champagne altogether for a different reason. And I'm
That's right. Well,
I'm blown away actually by the difference in the product for different reasons. Yeah.
that's right. And that's what I actually wanted, Monique. I wanted to find something that was different. There was no point me bringing in another champagne like Jacquard. And I also, naturally, of course, I did not want to upset them. But I mean, I have champagne houses every single day contacting me saying, hey, would love you to. But I said, no, I've got Jacquard. I want to be loyal to them. I'm a very loyal person anyway, as you well know. I stick
Yes.
with what if they're good to me, I'm good to them. We work together. I do not want to start jumping ship and running off with somebody who's got something slightly cheaper or, anything like that. I know what I like and I stick with them and we work together. So through ups and downs of, all sorts of things that are happening in our lives, we work together and they're very supportive of me and I'm supportive of them. And so when they had this champagne available sort of under their umbrella, I thought, right, let's give this a go. And I'm really happy about that.
It's really beautiful. So there's a couple of comments that have come through.
It's quite luscious.
It is luscious. It's a great description. Deb Bernan said tonight's like a champagne-a-thon. I love that.
She's great.
She is great. Lovely to hear you're on the stream tonight. Tony Narang, who is a lovely friend of ours actually, who has her own beautiful, luscious New Zealand organic skincare brand. She's just wished us the congratulations and has said hello. So lovely to hear from you tonight, Tony, as well. Lovely to have you on the stream. And I know there's a few people who have some housewife questions because they've sent them in to me in advance. So now that we've gone through talking about these amazing champagnes, firstly, I want to say the Montadon, if you're going to order the Montadon off the Champagne Lady website, it is also an award-winning champagne. So we're going to show you that as well. Now, we've got an award to show you the awards on offer with this champagne. It's at an incredible price point on the website, but let's have a look at those awards very quickly. Check out all of these awards for the Montadon as well. So you know that when you're ordering this from the champagnelady.co.nz website, you are getting a premium product. So for your steak lovers, for your beef lovers, for your pork lovers, this is going to be a perfect complement to that meal. It's also a wonderful gift and it's at an incredible price point. So you can order that from champagnelady.co.nz. Again, we'll share the details in the stream. But Anne, it's Real Housewives. Oh, there's the website as well. It is Real Housewives gossip. I don't like the word gossip, but you know what I mean, Anne. It's time to ask you those big questions.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, here we go. So a couple of quick questions. One question that was sent to me over the last week. What was it like being on reality TV?
Well, it was actually fantastic because I didn't have a problem at all. I'm just being me after all. So I really enjoyed it. I really didn't have any problem. And I think considering certain opportunities that are being offered to me right now, they found that I was the person who was very good on the fly, so to speak, just sort of, cope with anything, chat about anything, whatever, without sort of prepping and organising and so on. So I found it very, very enjoyable. The only thing that I wasn't quite so keen about was being thrown into that spray tan cabinet. When I specifically said that I was the one who did not want to have spray tan going to Port Douglas. Next minute, I'm the one being hurled into a spray tan cabinet at Lou's place. I thought, hey, what about me? She had very conveniently, obviously knew all about it prior to, gone and put herself down with God knows what. So, she was so brown. There was no chance at all that she would absolutely even consider being in a spray tan cabinet. We're still besties, so it's okay.
It is dinner time.
Oh my goodness.
Can you believe that? That's the husband calling it. It's dinner time. He can eat without me. He's not as, tight-headed at the hip.
Tell him your fans are too interested in staying online. Hi, Cuddly Bear. Hi, Cuddly Bear from me. Another question that came through: is reality TV real?
Yes, it is real. Now, I'll tell you why. What happens is you're given opportunities. So we're put in situations that they organise, but it's up to you how you react. So as an example, speaking about spray tan as an example, I get thrown into that situation now. How do I react? Obviously, I'm going to say, hey, I don't want to be in this. I've said I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing that. And you get caught into it. So I could turn into some screaming lunatic crying and, oh, no, I don't do this and all this sort of thing. Or I could go to a party and be put in a situation where we're doing this, that, or the other. And next minute I leap onto the table, totally pissed, knocking back 5 bottles of champagne. That's up to me. Because I remember when I first accepted going into the show, I said, I don't think I want to be in that because I don't want to be turned into a bad person. And they said, Anne, it's totally up to you how you turn out because basically you do whatever you want to do. Obviously, we're going to capture how you behave and we're free to do so. So if you want to jump on a table or throw your clothes off and act like a lunatic, that's up to you. It will be filmed. But if that's not in your nature, which it isn't in mine, I can tell you that, really, it's totally up to you how you come out of it, isn't it? If something doesn't come out of your mouth or you don't do something, you can't be portrayed badly, can you?
So true, so true. Now, and there's some hearts coming through on that question as well, which is wonderful. Now, another question that's just come through from Belinda Sperling. Will there be another Housewives series in the near future?
Well, I don't think so, unfortunately. We've had just too many problems. Even we had certain issues with the Housewives, the first show, and that was a bit of a drama. And, it was quite...
Food's on fire in the oven.
He definitely wants to be honest, doesn't he? He said he didn't want to be anything to do with it. Now he keeps popping in all the time. Husband, what do you do? Anyway, to get back to that, the thing is that... Now I've forgotten what I was talking about. What was the question again? He's put me totally off. Now tell me, what was the question again?
The question was... Is there going to be another Housewives of Auckland?
Oh, yes. I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's too difficult with the COVID. We also had immediately after the show, we had all those problems, which I won't go down that track, but if anyone's watched Housewives, I'm sure they know what I mean. We had issues. And even though Bravo actually... America bought our show and they all came out from the United States. Gilda and myself were both invited for dinner.
We're going for an hour and a quarter. It's long enough. Some of us want to wait. Come on.
Oh my goodness, I think somebody's hungry there. So Cuddly Bear's in the background there. If you are wanting to order your own champagne from the Champagne Lady, you can do that on the Champagne Lady website, champagnelady.co.nz. I'm just going to double check with Anne, but I think good question coming in from Deborah Banan. How can people donate if they don't drink champagne? Asking for a friend. If you want to donate to the Cat Sanctuary as well, you can look up NZ Cat Foundation, and you can actually make donations on the page there. So, or you can always, Deb, buy a bottle of champagne for somebody else. And I think Anne's just back now. And we are going to have to wrap up very shortly because Cuddly Bear's hungry.
Yes.
And
He's obviously starving to death. God forbid.
And we've been far longer than I thought we would be tonight. A 30-minute live stream turned into an hour and a half. So, Anne, I want to say thank you so much.
So fun.
It was super fun. Next time, hopefully, I can actually have you in the studio here with me and we can do live tastings with everybody. But I want to say thank you so much for coming, for being here virtually with me in the studio. And for anybody who is wanting to order some of your amazing champagne, again, champagnelady.co.nz, and people can connect with you in social media as well on the Champagne Lady Facebook page, or you can look for the Real Housewives of Auckland and Batley Burton Facebook page, connect there. And if you happen to drink some of this gorgeous champagne tonight too, upload photos and make sure you use the hashtag Champagne Lady, because we both will see that, comment and reshare your posts as well. So Anne, thank you so much for being on the live stream tonight. These are our first 2 champagnes we're sharing, but we will be sharing more champagne coming up, won't we?
We will, because we also have our fabulous rosé. Oh, and don't forget, one important thing is, don't forget, for those who want to give gifts at Christmas, we have the gorgeous Brut Mosaic that we've been drinking tonight and a gorgeous gift box. They are stunning and make such amazing presents. We've got the Magnums, as you already know, and then, which we'll be tasting later on, we've got the Blonde Blanc 2013 and 2014, and they're my absolute favourites. They are the fabulous, fabulous, fabulous champagnes, best ever. I love them. I'll drink most of it if you don't. And then we have the Alpha, which is another stunning champagne, which is actually more Pinot Noir driven, but aged for 5 years, and that is outstanding. And there's lots to talk about with that. So I hope we'll be doing another one of these. But apart from that, just, hey, anybody, email me, get in touch, happy to chat, whatever, be wonderful. And thanks so much, Monique. It's just an amazing, and Pete too in the background. It's been fantastic. Awesome. I better go and find the cuddly bear before he comes in with a knife.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Anne. Thanks everybody who has been on the stream tonight. There's been so many people, and it's really fantastic having you here. And I know you've got to Zoom off now. I want to thank everybody who's been on the stream. I know people have been popping out in and out over the last hour and a half. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Remember, if you want to try the gorgeous Montadon, which we've tried tonight, or the beautiful Mosaic range of champagne from Champagne Jacquard, you can do that, champagnelady.co.nz. Just Google it, find her, and you'll get her amazing special offers. Remember, that's the website. That's what you're looking for. You will have to pop your age in there as well to make sure that you are over 18. And we do have to say, drink responsibly, people. Remember, it is that season where we want to gift people products that we love, support our local entrepreneurs, and remember, proceeds from every bottle goes to save the pussies. So thank you so much, everybody. Deb, thank you for being on the stream. Gillian, thank you so much. Joan, thank you so much. There's so many people still on here. It's lovely. And we hope to see you all very, very soon with another live stream, live tasting. Remember, pre-order your champagne so you can taste those champagnes live with us. Cheers, everybody. Thank you so much. A big shout out to our producer, Pete, who has brought this all together tonight. And we hope to see you again. Ka kite anō e nō hora.
Founded in 1964, Champagne Jacquard is a mosaic of talents, wines, and terroirs. A diverse range of plots, emphasis on Chardonnay in our blends, and extended aging of our wines. Imbue them with a contemporary style that is graceful, yet fresh and refined. The excellence of our savoir-faire promotes our free-spirited approach and joyful, colourful vision of life. Our mission is to turn the small, everyday pleasures into unforgettable moments for sharing and creating emotion. Champagne Jacquard. Leave the ordinary.